our quest. We're at St Mark Noel Park Church. That's a mouthful, isn't it? St Mark Noel Park Church. What a name. However, it was only built in 1889. Now what's interesting about this particular church, but sadly we can't get into because God's obviously out again today, it seems to be the thing, the emphasis we're getting in North part of London, that churches only seem to be open if there's a service going on, and so God's clearly out of action at any other time. Perhaps you can leave a voicemail for him at some time, perhaps, to get the church open, who knows. However, what's interesting here is, and sadly we can't get in to show you the wonderful architrave that's inside, but in October 2009 there were the wonderful reports of parishioners that felt their necks getting tight, and they felt quite odd. It wasn't until they actually left that some of the parishioners actually had markings on their necks, so as if something had tried to strangle them. Now, that almost ties into February 1930. Now, in February 1930, two boys just happened to be playing in the little graveyard here to the side, and they heard scratching and noises from the tomb, which was quite scary for them, and they obviously ran off. Now, with those going on, there's a direct association between here and Tottenham Cemetery, what was All Saints Church, which is now All Hallows Church. And from those 2 points, that only leads us back on to Edmonton, where we're now heading next. So sadly we couldn't get into the church, but it has its stories that are certainly worth investigating. Well, is it true what they say, third time lucky? It clearly is not, because this is the third church of our quest today. We're going to get days like this. It's been a lovely day out, just visiting around different places, but sadly, we cannot get in. God is not open to us again today, so clearly God doesn't want us to get into this particular building. It's a shame, because it has lots of history. 1142 it was built in, All Saints Church, Edmonton. What's more interesting is it's actually built on a much earlier development, going back to the medieval times, and then beyond that it goes back to the Neolithic times. So this part was actually inhabited from Neolithic place onwards. What's of particular interest is that the actual church itself and the grounds were given by Geoffrey de Mandeville, who actually, ironically, wasn't Mandeville at all. He was actually a Neville. So this whole area here was given by the Neville family to the local people, the local residents and citizens. There are other names associated with it. We've got Fordham, Clark, Neville and Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, which is quite interesting. Now, if we just pan down, I know you've already panned down there already, but just down here, there's another community centre right down the bottom of this pathway. That's where the workhouse was. It's no longer there. There was a workhouse there, and it was built in 1839. So nearly 200 years ago. Now, what was interesting was the church was perfectly calm, perfectly normal in the sense, until they started excavating at the workhouse down the road here in 1839, and then there was poltergeist activity reported. Now, that poltergeist activity reported continued from 1839 to 1843. So some 4 years it went on for. Oddly, the activity stopped once the building had been completed. Now, the activity actually happened in the church, in this said church here. And again, there was various priests that came to commit blessings and try and calm the place down. What we had is we had pews being moved, we had altars being rearranged, we had chairs being stacked up in precarious positions in there. And there was also sightings, take it back a few more years, in the 1750s, there were sightings of children. Not one, not two, but absolutely lots of children coming and actually just literally entering, apparitions entering the church. So it's had a lot of input, a lot of energy over the years. Sadly for me at the moment in time, I can't really feel a lot apart from a bit of peace. It's a shame we can't get into the church. I have telephoned the vicar and got God's answer machine, to which I have left a little message, which I'm sure will not be returned. But such is life. What we'll do now is move on. What we just need to learn from today, really, we've got three main connections. We've got the Tottenham Church, the Tottenham Cemetery, where the vampirism was happening in 1978. We've gone on to Wood Green, to the church there, where there was poltergeist activity, and we've come over to here where there's poltergeist activity in 1839. So there's the whole area is enshrouded in something quite spectacular. But where is that pyramid, and exactly where is it buried in this quadrant of churches?